No.
Live.
What is going on, people? Welcome to the Invincible podcast, the greatest podcast in the universe. I'm your host, Tony Polanco, and today I'm joined by Mr. Richard Bailey Jr.,
What's up, listeners and viewers?
Carlos Romero,
Yo, what's going on?
and the returning one, Miss Dana Abercombie.
Hola, ¿cómo estás?
Yes, vamos a la biblioteca. You know, this is a Spanish podcast. We're going to teach you motherfuckers how to talk, the Lord's language, Jesus, But yes, we are back once again. No, I'm not talking about my cousin either, So yeah, we're back with another episode 4. This is like after this episode, we're officially at the halfway point, but thankfully we won't have to wait like 3 or 4 months for the next half. Lots of good stuff here. Okay, because if you guys missed the last episode, we basically did 3 episodes in one, and it was a nice hour-long show because the way it was structured. So I kind of like that, so I'm going to keep that going. So we're going to go through the main bits and then some incidental shit. But before we get into this episode, Dana, since you missed the last episode, do you want to give us your quick thoughts on the 3 episodes that started off season 2 or 3? Excuse me. Are you muted? Yeah, there you go.
Okay, so I thought the series is it's a little bit different than the previous seasons in terms of the writing and the focus.
Mm-hmm.
So I do kind of appreciate the other seasons a little bit more. This one seems to be a bit, I don't know if this is the correct word, but like a little bit more bombastic in terms of the focus and where it's going. But I still appreciate it, and I like the style, and I like the fact that we don't have to wait for certain plot points, for so long that they are just getting right and directly into it. So I do appreciate that. And I will say that so far I am still looking forward to what is to come, even though for me, it's a little all over the place.
Yeah, no, there's definitely a lot of stuff going on. All right, so we established that. Yeah. Again, we're not going to go in exact order of the episode. I'm going to go through the main plot points, and we'll get to the incidental stuff at the end of the show. And of course, your favorite part, people, are predictions and what we want. Although, Rich, you got what you wanted for this episode. You're done. I heard a rumor that if Battle Beast wasn't in this episode, you were gonna like quit this podcast. So I'm very glad.
Yeah, well, hold on. I don't know who started that rumor. That is fake news. No,
it may have been somebody called Henderson, but we don't know about that. But yeah, man. So, but thankfully for this episode, it was neatly kind of broken up into 2 parts. So we'll get into the first one here. Mark goes to the future. Dude finally gets his. He called it a second first date with Eve, and these fucking assholes from the future show up again. Remember, they they did steal the Declaration of Independence, took it with them to the future. They came back, and it's like, by the way, we kind of need your help, but there's an evil king in our future, and we need you to kick his ass. And at first, Mark is like, man, fuck that, man. I'm on a date right now, bro. No, they snatch his ass up. And they even pulled a little bit of a Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure where they're flying to where they need to. Then another Mark shows up. It's like, I'll take your clothes. Like, wait, what the fuck? Like, dude, time travel. Don't worry about it, But yeah, we find out that basically the twins, by the way, their names are awesome. It's like Dropkick and have it here. Yeah, Dropkick and Fight Master. I'm like, okay, you got to live up to those names, man. You're going to be kicking some ass. And they sure enough did. But yeah, the world was all fucked up. Evil king, the usual dystopian stuff. And at first, the way they kind of set it up is like, oh shit, is this another Viltrumite? But the twins didn't know what the fuck that was. Turned out it was our boy Immortal, and he was not happy to be alive for so goddamn long. And it also turned out that Mark kind of left him high and dry. Mark ruled that world, left, and then Immortal's like, fuck, I gotta deal with this shit, and then big battle ensues, hijinks and all that. But yeah, so let's get your thoughts on that whole future side adventure. And Carlos, I'll start with you.
I like that scene. it's interesting because the whole purpose of that is sort of doing the parallels with the Eve storyline that we'll get to later on.
Yeah.
And it mentioned something that that kind of piqued my interest, and it leans towards something that I've predicted before. And the whole thing with when he went to Immortal, Mark is saying, he's like, "Oh, where was I?" And he's like, and Immortal's like, "Oh, you were here until you," and then he just cut off, and I'm like, oh, I'm like, and that's where I predicted previously that eventually, if you're a Viltrumite, you kind of turn into sort of this type of character. And I mentioned how Oliver is sort of on the fast track right now, and Mark is always sort of like a late bloomer to this.
Yeah.
So I'm interested. I'm interested with that in terms of the fight scene. That was a pretty good fight scene. I like how when he took down Immortal, he's like, yeah, just keep the parts, keep the pieces apart.
Put himself back together. But I do want to. There's something I want to touch on, and you brought it up. Remember, in season 2, it was established that in most universes, Mark takes over the planet.
Yeah.
So this is not anything new here. So, and remember, we'll get to it in a little bit. When he thought Cecil was spying on him, he didn't just go in there, "Hey, Cecil, let's talk." He just goes in there and starts rampaging like always. So he has that streak in him, but he's still obviously trying to do good. And by the end, he didn't want to do it, and he felt bad killing Immortal or disabling Immortal. Let's call it that. The guy's called Immortal. There's a reason he's called that. But yeah, that was good. Rich, what did you think of that whole future sequence and Mark and how he dealt with it and everything?
Well, that definitely was unexpected because they really kept playing up the whole surveillance thing. So I thought that storyline was going to progress in a significant way in this episode. Obviously, you mentioned he had the whole interaction with Cecil, the very violent beatdown of all of the machines to get to Cecil once again. So it makes me more curious to see who is this individual that is that pretty much he has to watch out for. We'll find out about that at some point, I assume. But no, I like the future storyline. It further explained who these other twins were, why they were on the mission that they were previously, and the whole problem about what was going on in their world. I was very surprised, though, that Immortal was the one that he had to deal with in this episode. I figured it was going to be somebody else. But it made sense because Immortal, that he mentions Kate, he's like, I don't know who that is. I've had several partners.
Hundreds, so he said hundreds.
So it's a lot going on, but no, I thought it was very good direction to take with the episode. Definitely wasn't what I was expecting, but I think they did a very good job with it.
Yeah. All right, Dana, what are your thoughts on the whole future story in this?
Okay, so for me, that stood out the most, honestly, was the voice acting, because it was like such pain and heart in his voice of like basically begging, please kill me. So I really love that. And I loved how we get the different kind of Nolans as opposed to, the one that we were introduced with originally was like the bloodthirsty, who was like the really nice family friendly. And then we realized who he really was. And then it's like your mom's a pet, that kind of thing. But with this one, it's just so much pain and anguish of someone begging, please kill me. And Mark didn't want to do it. And it kind of made me wonder, with the Mark of that universe, he would have just did it like that and called it a day, and that would have been it. So I really did like that scene. I like how it was played. It was a complete surprise to me. I think it also kind of was an interesting kind of parallel to see how, remember how they had previously the other Mark was like standing by, you've been to this before, standing by Nolan's side. It was like, yeah, I'm just take everybody out. I thought that we would get more of that, but we didn't. And so I liked the surprise that we had. I did feel overall that the writing was a little bit rushed. I know that we're only given a limited amount of time, and it was just a very limited thing of, please kill me. No, I don't want to. And then having to come to that realization, guess he's going to have to kill him. And then you kind of see the heartbreak. He didn't want to do that. And then there's kind of that kind of laugh moment where you had to separate the parts. So he'll just come back together again. So I did like how that was a play on everything. And I did like that scene. It was just a bit surprising for me, but it's good to be surprised. I hope that, and I like the fact that because Eve could have been really annoying with the whole thing and been like, oh, you missed out. I can't deal with this. She was really understanding. It was like, oh, we should leave. But we're not going to leave the date. We're going to just leave. So I really like that.
Yeah, no, and I'm glad you bring that up because it kind of ties back to what we discussed last week about how it was good that he left Amber because she doesn't understand the life. Eve gets it, she understands
you
the
know
life.
I hate Amber, whatever, put on my heart and on my soul.
Huh?
I hate Amber.
Yeah, I
I'm
know you do.
sorry.
Yeah, so I know you're happy
Amber,
about that.
you know that I can't stand her because she's annoying. She does that thing of, you never have time for me. Oh my God. And it's like he's saving people.
Yeah,
You don't
exactly.
have the understanding and the mental capacity to understand that. And I think that is more of a trope. So you're going to have me have a rant. But I think that is a trope and terrible female writing of like, oh my God, there's never no time. But no, I like the fact that he's with Eve, and also, they have that understanding because they're the same. They do the same thing.
Yeah.
So no, he's not meant for the little mortals. Let him
Yeah.
go with Eve.
No, and you're right. Remember, he showed up to the date late, and she was like, "That's cool," because she gets it. And this is something Carlos brought up last time. Let's just say, hey, somebody figures out who he is. Hey, let's go after his loved ones. Eve could take care of herself. She's a superhero. It's not like, remember, Armstrong actually caught Amber as well. Threatened her. Like with Eve, you're gonna have to be pretty tough to take her out.
And I'm good with Amber dying, so it's like it works out.
Oh man. But yeah, that whole scene was good. Again, just showing Mark wrestling with his nature and everything. And I do want to kind of parallel this to another scene that we saw later. Mark was not going to kill Immortal until his allies were threatened. Then he's like, okay, I got to do this. Very interesting, because that's what finally gets Nolan off his ass.
Mhm.
We're going to get to that in a bit. But yeah, I like that sequence. It's the typical kind of like, oh, let's go to the future. It's horrible, but it's like, wait, but the reason it's horrible is because of you, Mark. You did this shit. And it's also kind of parallels what happened with Eve. Remember, she was like, that future version of me, what the fuck? Like it was messing her up. And then she had to tell Mark, no, don't do what I did. Like, that's not you, bro. So that was good. Again, Dane, like you said, she understands, so that was good. And we'll get to a little date in a bit. That was good. But I want to get to some of the other Earth stuff before we kind of get to date. But yeah, Rich, you brought it up. The probe investigation. Apparently, this thing is made out of some high tech stuff. Cecil is even like, yo, we are spying on him, but not with this shit. I like that. He was like, dude, if we're spying you, you won't even know. And of course he admits, like, yeah, we're spying on him. So yeah, again, we have our theories. Who could this person be? Even Robot is like, bro, I don't know. Like, even Robot doesn't fucking know. He's like, dude, I don't know. Like, this shit was made on Earth, but that's all I can tell you, man. So that's our clue right there. It was made on Earth, so presumably a human made that thing. But we'll have to see about that. But yeah, what do you guys do you have any updated theories on who this could be? Rich, I know you have your theory. So you could start off with that. Like, who do you think is spying on Mark?
Well, I definitely don't know who it is. I know I said it could have been another version of Levy, but I don't know. I after that revelation, yeah, it makes me wonder if this is a new character or is this somebody that they're going to reintroduce us to that we've already seen in this show. But I'm not sure who it could be.
Yeah. What about you? Yeah, go ahead, Carlos, since you're already talking.
I'm still leaning on the real estate broker. I don't trust him. I don't trust the guy. There's no way someone goes into a relationship with that much baggage and be okay with it. That's just unbelievable to me. That dude's got ultra motives that I'm pretty sure have to do with Mark. So I got my eyes on that guy. I don't trust him.
I don't blame you, Beck. Yeah, because like, remember his initial reaction is like, yo, this is too much for me. I'm dipping. That's the natural reaction. That's what I would have done. Like, I'm not handling this shit. I'm out. Fuck that. Especially if Nolan comes back, bruh.
Yep.
But yeah, Dana, do you have any clues? Any inklings of who might be this mystery person?
No, because my stupidity was like, oh, it's Kid Omni-Man. Then I was like, no, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, no, it doesn't.
I don't know. I don't know.
Okay, I guess we'll have to see. But yeah, and
What is
like
he, Omni Kid, or what was the name that he gave
Kid,
himself?
Kid Omni-Man.
Kid Omni-Man.
Well, yeah, Oliver, get
Yeah,
off me,
Oliver.
man.
Yeah, we could call him Oliver. Kid Omni-Man. So funny name. But yeah, so and like we already kind of talked about it a little bit. But yeah, Mark goes to the Pentagon, wrecks shit up, trying to figure things out. So obviously, even though he's done with Cecil, he's also not done with Cecil. And vice versa. So we're gonna have to see how that whole thing plays out because Cecil's, I mean, he was already spying on him and everything. Obviously, you basically have a family with two superheroes, Invincible and Kid Omni-Man. So we'll have to see about that, And then again, Nolan may roll up again, And then some other things, yeah. Again, Mark and Eve went on their little date. I have a complaint about this scene.
I have one too.
Yeah, I wonder if it's the same one as me. So one of the things is Mark in this episode is like, dude, this guy knows my identity. He can come after my family, and then he's flying around with no fucking mask. Like, what are you doing, man? Like, you're flying all around the world with no mask on, bro. Like, you literally said you don't want your identity exposed, and you're exposing your identity. So that was kind of troublesome to me, With Eve, it's like she doesn't wear a mask, it's fine, but it's like, bro, what the fuck are you doing right now? But other than that, it was little I call it a homage to Superman, flying around with Lois, except it's just all over the world. Some cool little scenes here and there, and then they were doing some callbacks to them hanging out beforehand, kind of establishing, the feelings they had for one another and shit. So that was good, but yeah, the mask part was fucking me up. I'm like, bro, what are we doing right now? But Carlos, what was your problem with it?
My problem was something more important, more consequential than what Tony mentioned. Well, why didn't they just do it in the treehouse? Why do they have to go to Mark's home?
Maybe the bed wasn't soft enough in that treehouse, But then she can make a soft treehouse. You're right about that. Like a soft bed and the shit. You're right. I didn't think about why didn't they go to Africa? Mom's Mark ain't gonna roll up in Africa. You're right about that. That's a good point.
That out of all the places. But yeah. That was just a nitpick, but yeah, I found it interesting.
Yeah. Hey, Dana, what are your thoughts on the date and everything? I know you're happy that they're together at least.
I just think that I like them together. I think that Eve has an emotional maturity that helps to guide Mark, and they balance out really well. So I like her. I like everything about her. And please don't have them break up. I'm sure you already know what would happen because you read the comics, but don't tell me because I'm in my bliss right now.
Yeah, no, you're fine. I'm not Adam. I don't spoil shit, so you're good. Yeah. And then there was a little like montage in the beginning, which I personally felt went on too long. What's her face? Rex and Ray going shopping. I'm like, like this kind of felt like that intro of the last episode with the two gay villains. I'm like, why should shit drag it on for 5 minutes? Just get to the point, So I get it. Like Rex is like, yo, like, are we weird? Are we like maybe we should be doing more normal shit? But I don't mind the scene. It just dragged on a little too long. We could have had an editor in there. Go ahead, Dana.
This goes along with my overall issue. The pacing is just off. Like you can have that be a really quick scene, him saying the line and him in the supermarket or whatever, but it just kept going on and on about the pizza and I'm making food. Brother, no, can you really cook? I didn't really need that. You could have did it much faster in a much better way. So I'm kind of concerned about this second part of the season and will continue to drag. Because they could have easily shaved off several minutes off the show just from pacing and dialogue alone.
Yeah.
So
for me, it was only the intro that was the problem. Everything was fine. But this is now the second instance where we have an intro that drags on for too fucking long for no payoff.
Did you feel like for me a little bit the fight scene, not even the fight scene, but the monologue between, not the dialogue between Immortal and forgetting
Mark.
names for some strange reason.
Invincible.
Mark.
The name of the show.
Did you
The
feel
name of the
that
show.
one? Yeah.
Yeah. No, it was
Did
fine. I
you?
liked it. It was fine. I didn't have any problem with that. Like I could see why, but it was like you said, it was good to establish Immortal's headspace, And
Mhm.
and Dana, I didn't notice it, but you're right. It's like the way he talked was very different than the Immortal we know. The Immortal we know is like, I am immortal, blah, 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 kind of stoic. This guy was like just like whimpering basically. So that was good. But no,
Yeah,
I
he was
didn't.
begging.
Yeah, he was begging. Yeah, but I didn't really. Aside from that intro, I didn't feel anything dragged in this episode. But that's just my personal opinion because I like the superheroes talking and stuff. But like like just doing normal shit. I'm like, what are we doing right now, bro? You know.
I I didn't
Yeah.
like
Go
the
ahead.
ending. I thought the
Huh?
ending was a little bit too talky. The ending,
Yeah.
I know that it was like to provide jokes and levity, but it felt like it was so separate from the show
Yeah. Well, we'll get to
that
the ending
I
now.
was
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just real
Yeah.
quick on
Yeah.
the whole scene with Rex. I
Yeah.
agree because there was hardly any exposition within
Yeah.
the conversation, so that's why it felt like it dragged out because it just there was it was really just, oh, someone's attacking, and then now it's like a cut to Mark in the team base. So
Yeah, they could have just cut to the team base. We didn't need all that other stuff unless there's a payoff. But again, I read the books. I don't remember that part. I was like, "What the fuck?" Just like with the gay villains. I'm like, I don't remember this shit. They just threw it in there. It's like this show is long enough already. You don't need to add more to it. But yeah, let's get to the showstopper, bro. The prison break. This was the shit everybody was waiting for, and it was fucking glorious. We had the return of the narrator. My man was like, he's like, all right, we got to give Eve and Mark some time alone, so let's go see what Alan's up to. And they give you a little bit of a recap of how we got there and everything. And it's funny because Alan, he had this like plan. It's like okay, like this guy misses his wife. He called me a friend. I got him. He just needs one little big push. But there were okay, and this pays off later. Remember, they've been there for a long time, right? Like you would think, like, hey, if Nolan is this like big Viltrumite traitor, why aren't they hurrying up to kill him? You will find out later, and that raises some interesting questions, But obviously, the Viltrumites do come. They're the way they execute people is just beating the fuck out of them, apparently. And then Alan, he's like, all right, it's my time, let's go. So he breaks out, and remember, like Nolan told him this last episode, he was like, you can break out whenever. He's like, yeah, but I want you coming with me, because Alan obviously wants Nolan to help with the coalition of planets and shit to take down the Viltrumites. But yeah, big battle sequence. And then of course, Alan breaks out the big boy, a battle beast. I don't know how they captured his ass, but he's been chilling this whole time. So yeah, they go in there, big battle, fight the Viltrumites. Battle beast is in his element, and then obviously at the end of it, Alan and Nolan team up and go off into space while Battle Beast is still fighting somewhere. But yeah, Carlos, what do you think of that whole prison break sequence and all that?
I thought it was great. I like the one of the best parts of that the entire scene is when they're about to punch Nolan, and it looks like Alan is about to run through and help him, but they just end up. He's like, "Oh, he's not here."
Yeah, that
So
was
it's like
funny.
I like that whole scene. I'm still confused about who captured Battle Beast because it obviously wasn't Viltrumites because he even said it's like, "Oh, there's Viltrumites here." It's like,
Yeah,
so I'm
you're
like,
right
"What
about
the
it. That's a
hell?"
good point. Yeah, who captured this motherfucker?
Yeah. So it was a great scene. I like the dynamic between Alan and Nolan. I feel like they have really good chemistry with those two characters. So yeah, I can't wait for more. And yeah, obviously the final part where Nolan explains how many Viltrumites or how many pure Viltrumites are left.
Yes.
That was really interesting. That was something I wasn't expecting.
Yeah, and that now you know why those Viltrumites took forever.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, there's only 50 of these motherfuckers. You know, but yeah, Dana, what do you think of that whole sequence? And I know you kind of already touched on it that the ending of it went a little too long. But yeah, what do you think of the whole breakout and everything? And Nolan, he said it's like goodbye, my friend. He flat out said it. It's like he considers Alan a friend. So yeah, what do you think of the fight, Nolan's change of heart and all that stuff?
I liked, well, of course I like the fight, but it's
Yeah.
really interesting how it was like we get this really big violent battle scene and blood and gore and everything that's typical of Invincible. But remember, the whole episode was Mark kind of his whole dilemma was he doesn't want to kill.
Yeah.
So it's interesting seeing him doing that when it came to like Immortal, and then just this big gory bloody scene that's just right next to it. So I do like how they show those two. I thought, of course, it was really great. It was funny. You guys already know that I thought that the narration went a little bit too long with the fact that, Alan is like, you're going to be my friend. I just know it. And I like that kind of self-esteem that he has there. And he's slowly chipping away at Nolan. And then, we get to Nolan saying, I think I miss my wife kind of situation where he could be a change. And I hope he's not because it just makes me sad because I don't like all that change so much. I'm like, I love humans. But for me, I just thought overall it was just really fun. I don't know where Battle Beast came from. I don't know how they captured Battle Beast. If we can get like a little thought, this is what I wish the
Yeah, I would
narration
like
was.
that. Yes.
If you would have just cut in a real quick scene on like, and this is what you missed, and they just sort of showed how they got Battle Beast, that would have been cool. But
Yeah.
overall, it was great.
Or you could replace that with the whole shopping intro. I think people would have liked an intro of Battle Beast getting captured, and then you see him later on, like, oh shit, there he is.
I have a question.
Why is it?
Why is it that Nolan says that there's 50 left?
Yeah,
but they
purebloods.
They essentially purebloods. So and they killed at least one of them was killed in this breakout.
Yeah,
but maybe that's just me assuming that he was pureblood. So wouldn't there be
29,
49?
It's a good point. But maybe there were 52 left.
Maybe there was 52. Maybe he was doing the calculations in real time.
Exactly.
That good point.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah.
Or he's lying.
Maybe. But actually, we'll see. Anyway, Rich, obviously I'm saving you for last because you got the return of your boy, Mr. Battle Beast. But yeah, what do you think of that entire sequence? Not only the battle, but also Nolan's evolution.
Okay, well, first and foremost, let me start by saying that Robert Kirkman is very slick with how he puts together this show, because when they showed the first storyline having to deal with Mark, Amber, and all the other stuff that happened, and then you go to credits, I'm like, well, hold on a minute, man. This is only like 20 or 30 minutes into the show.
I'm like, what the fuck?
I was like, yeah, what the hell is this? So, but no, to get to the point, yes, I enjoyed, obviously, this breakout was glorious, just like y'all said. My main critique is exactly what y'all said. I would have been great to get an explanation as to how Battle Beast got there. And you all had the excellent point. They could have had a scene in the very beginning and replaced it with the scene they showed. That would have made 100% more sense. I was definitely glad to see Battle Beast return. It was disappointing because we didn't get an explanation of how he ended up there. And it was also disappointing because of how it ended with the whole fight of him going off into space, fighting the Viltrumite. Now, I would assume we will see him again. My assumption is that. Obviously, Tony, you can't tell us. But I was expecting a much more worthy opponent for him since he wanted to fight so badly. And I felt a little slighted that I didn't get that in full force in this episode. But what we got was still satisfying to see him return, to know he's out there. And I look forward to seeing where they go with that storyline. And as for all the stuff you guys mentioned about the only 50 Viltrumites. Now, here's a question for y'all, because I didn't catch that he parted ways with Alan. I thought they were still going to work together to take down the Koalition. So I did have a question. Now, did he outright tell him goodbye, or did he say goodbye for now? They're still going to work together in the future, right? That's what I wanted some clarity on.
Yeah, they will. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yes. Because they have excellent chemistry together. That was the one thing that I liked, that with Alan, because we saw earlier in the season when he saw and noticed that Nolan had feelings for him when they thought they were going to kill him. And he used that basically against him when he was getting beat down. He said, "Oh, well, yeah, I had to make it look like I got roughed up, but really I was all right." I like that. That was great. That was great. So
yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because that was one of my favorite parts. Like, it's like wait, you let him beat you up? Like, yeah, maybe. You know? Alan is a character, man.
He's a character.
He's a character. But yeah, so obviously that sequence is going to be moving forward. It's going to be interesting when Mark finds out about the Viltrumites and all that. What's up, Dana? Oh, you muted yourself again. There you go.
Okay, I have a question for you. In regards to Alan and Nolan, is that in the comics?
Like
the friendship.
All that is in the comics. All that stuff. Like
Does
I
it also
said,
include the narration?
Oh yeah. Like Alan went to because but in the comics it looks more natural because the normal. No, typically the Invincible comics don't have narration, but every time Alan shows up, they have old school 80s style and narration with the yellow like bubbles and stuff, and even the art changes to look more 80s. Like that's a little inside joke they do with Alan, but typically they don't do that.
What's the reason behind that? Because for someone who didn't read
that's
it,
why
it's funny, but it was jarring. It was like, oh, what are we doing now? Yeah. Like if they continue that for the entire episode, I'm like, oh, that's cool. But they kind of didn't. So then I was wondering, like, is there a reason though?
Yeah, it's for the comics at least. It's just for fun. It's like it's an homage. It's an homage to 80s comics that were just overly explanatory. Like an 80s comic, you'll get like 50,000 fucking narration bubbles and shit. Like modern comics don't do that. They don't have narration anymore, which I'm kind of upset about. I'm like, I want to read comics, not just look at them. But yeah, it's a joke with Alan that the beginning and end of whatever comic he appears in always has that type of narration. And like to you guys' point, the reason it felt like 2 episodes is because those are literally 2 comic books, like issues in one. Like the Mark stuff happened in one comic, then the breakout happened in its own comic. Because again, every time Alan shows up, at least in the beginning parts, like it kind of in the comics, it kind of stopped that narration stuff later on. But it's always like it was meant to be evocative of 80s comic books, superhero comic books. Me personally, I think it's fun, but that is you bring up a question for you guys who didn't read the show, read the comics. Like Carlos, did you find that the narration jarring?
No, but that's because I'm a manga anime fan.
Oh, that's so true.
Yeah.
And Rich reads comics, so he's fine with that too. So, but that is but that is a good point, Dana, because I'm like, is that jarring to people who maybe like, wait, why is the narration going on right now? Because it does work
just
better.
Felt like 2 separate things. Like if it was to continue, then if it was throughout the episode, then I would understand. But it just it makes sense now that you explained it to me, and that this is an Alan thing.
It's an Alan.
I appreciate that because it adds personality to that character.
Yeah,
it kind of made me wish like each character would have its own little thing now, and not just Alan. But I do appreciate that. But just by watching it, not knowing anything, it felt like 2 completely different episodes. I was like, oh, did the episode end, and then it just jumped to something else? Was this like a behind the scenes thing?
Yeah, but remember, this isn't. But remember, this isn't the first time this show has done this. Every single time Alan has an episode, you have narration every single time.
I like Dana's question about the whole Alan and Nolan dynamic being because it works so well, and it seems like it's catered towards like a TV show.
Yes,
the way that they work, that it's good to know that damn, they even fleshed this out and brought this like this was from the comics. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, again, for the most part, there's some little differences here and there. But for the most part, this show's just sticking with it. I saw this interview with Robert Kirkman, and they asked him like, why are you sticking so close to the comics? And his answer, because it's Robert Kirkman, he's a funny guy. He's like, I'm lazy. He's like, I'm lazy. I don't want to change shit. I'm just sticking with the script. I don't want to change anything. And I'm very grateful for that because there's too many shows and movies that just take too many liberties. I like the fact that this is one of the things. And then when they do change things, it's still in the spirit of it. The biggest change this show has done is Omni-Man killing the Guardians of the Globe, right? In the comics, it happened very differently. It happened over the course of a couple of issues, and it was just like an ending of an issue. Like so who's killing the Guardians? Like you don't know. But I think the way he did it on the show makes better it's better for a TV where it's just this big moment right there, you know.
That's the hook.
Yes, the hook. That was the hook. That got everybody on board. So I'm really glad they changed that, but it still leads to the same shit. You know, like the consequences didn't change. So again, and we already know we're gonna have at least 8 seasons of Invincible, which is good. That's enough to cover the whole thing. You know, so I'm really happy about that. Don't fuck around. Don't start changing shit. Keep doing what you're doing. This is fun. It is fun. But yeah, that's pretty much it right there. You guys have any other last thoughts before we get to predictions?
No, I thought this is one of the stronger episodes of the season. I felt like everything except for the grocery shopping part, everything else was intentional, and it was, you know, it had to do with the story, and it progressed it. And I can't wait to see what Alan and Nolan get into next.
Yeah. Rich, what do you think overall of this episode?
I thought it was a great episode. The prison break was fantastic. I know Carlos said he didn't like the grocery shopping part, but possibly because it made him feel like, oh, he needs to go grocery shopping. So he said that is too much for this episode. So
I do too.
I agree.
You
know? I do 3, but I agree 100%. I didn't really like that too much, but listen, we got the return of Battle Beasts. We got the the breakout. So I'm looking forward to seeing what happens next. I'm very amped to see what happens from here on out.
All right.
And Rich, I feel like the whole thing with Battle Beast, he's like one of those characters where it's like he's really sporadic where it comes, but he always like makes a statement.
Oh yeah,
yeah. So I can't wait to see where he pops up next.
Yeah. By the way, real quick comment about something you said about Battle Beast, like that you wanted him to fight a worthy opponent. I still, even though we didn't see the resolution of it, I do think this opponent's worthy because he didn't flat out kill him. You don't know how the battle ended. You know, we don't know how the battle ended. So that is a worthy opponent for sure. And by the way, I do like the fact that he like clawed his like fingers inside this guy's chest because Battle Beast can't fly. So he would just be drifting in space. So he needs that anchor point. But yeah, Dana, overall thoughts on the episode?
No, overall, I thought it was really good. I have another question for you in regards to the comics. It was in that dialogue that Mark had with the Immortal, where Immortal was like, "Oh, are you still sick with?" And then they never finished the sentence. So there were a lot of sentences that were never finished in the comic. Does that get finished? Do we know what he gets sick of?
I'm not saying nothing. I'm not saying nothing.
Do you feel that we will eventually get answers to those missing dialogues?
Dane, I can't answer that. You know, all I have to say is stay tuned.
Spoiling anything?
Yes, I am. If I tell you, that is a spoiler. That is the definition of a spoiler. If I tell you,
okay,
and it's not in the synopsis.
I will say this, Dana. Okay. I will be able to answer you eventually, and it's not going to take too long. But by too long, I mean like within another year or two, I could probably answer season, you know. But I don't want, again, I want you guys to enjoy this shit. I'm not trying to say too much, you know. But I appreciate the question, Dana, and I'm glad that you're asking that. And just, you know, mental pin. That's all I'll say. You know, and not just for that. In general, with this show, just like the comics, you know. Actually, no, let me take that back. Because this show is doing some bullshit sometimes. We're like, what the fuck is this shit? You know, but generally in the comics, if something happens, some bullshit, like, well, it'll pay off eventually, you know. But I don't think this show with the shopping, that's not going to go anywhere. I'll tell you that right now. That's not going to go anywhere. You know, just like those two villains, that's not going anywhere either. So I hope the show stops doing. Yeah, I hope the show stops doing shit like that. Go ahead, Dana.
So you're saying that she never learns how to cook and he just eats ramen forever?
Maybe, you know, but it's not important. That's all I'm saying. It's not important. But yeah, we're officially now halfway through the show this season. Very good stuff. I guess we could save the prediction stuff for next time and stuff. But you know, because you guys already kind of said what you want to looking forward to. But so I think this is a good place to kind of end things off. But Dana, what is happening with the Koalition with entertainment? What's coming up this week? You know, we got to plug. You know, we got to
Okay, so
plug.
this week
Yeah.
we got a plug. We have a lot of things. If you like Disney, you like Pixar, I'm still doing stuff. We have the Pixar upcoming TV show Win or Lose. We're gonna have a lot of interviews with that. I am dropping interviews with The Monkey, which is a horror movie that is by Osgood Perkins, who I learned was Anthony Perkins' son. I didn't know that. I'm sitting there like, oh my God, it's Anthony Perkins' son. Anyway, point is, we have that. It's a great horror. We have the interviews coming up with that with Theo James, who's also in the movie. Daredevil, I will say, I can't say anything, but I will say this. We have the cast.
Okay.
So, the cast of Daredevil, upcoming TV series, and
Oh,
they
you're interviewing the
are
cast?
having,
You got
yeah.
it. Hey, let's fucking go. Nice. Very nice.
So we do have that, and we will have our guides to the upcoming Disney movies and upcoming other like Disney shows that are coming up. We have 2 guides for that. It's a lot of stuff. There's Phineas and Ferb that we also are doing, which is like huge in the little Disney thing. In regards to other stuff, there will be more horror movies. We have Novocaine that is coming up. We also do have, I just posted Captain America, the Brave New World. We just did a review on that. That is on the YouTube page. Will be on the website very shortly. And just basically it so far. A lot of other things in between, NCIS, other TV shows. So it's been busy. And then of course wrapping up with the Oscars situationship, we have Zendaya. So yay.
Ooh, it's a lot of stuff. Stay tuned for all that. And Rich, what's happening with the coalition in terms of gaming this upcoming week?
Well, first and foremost, shout out to Dana. A lot of very exciting entertainment things coming. On the gaming side of things, this upcoming week is going to be a very huge week. You know, obviously, we're going to have coverage for the Yakuza Pirate game. You know, Adam spoke a little bit about that. He's going to be reviewing that. We have Tatiana is going to be covering the Lost Records game. Both of these games are coming out next week, so I would encourage you to check out the website. We'll have some coverage of that. And there's going to be a lot of other things that I can't really talk about yet. I will just say this: you definitely want to stay tuned to the Koalition because it's going to be very wild for the next 2 weeks. All right, that's all I have to say. But yeah, gaming side, if you know stuff that's coming out, I would make a guess that we're going to be covering that in some capacity. So stay tuned for all of that.
Good stuff. And then over on Throwdown, where you can catch me, Rich, and Carlos, our latest episode, we give our breakdown of the state of play, the recent Sony one. We also have previews, hands-on previews of, Rich may have already mentioned this, Monster Hunter Wilds. I have a preview for you guys, and Rich has a preview of I keep forgetting the name of that, South of Midnight, and then some other good stuff. So stay tuned, and obviously we're going to be covering everything related with the Switch 2 because that's coming very, very soon. And then of course we got Throw Down Your Questions coming this Sunday. So ask us your questions, gaming related, But yeah, we're done here. Thank you again for joining us. Always love doing this podcast, hanging out with the crew, and watching Invincible. The only show I watch, and it's the only show I need because it satisfies me. So I'm very happy about it. But yeah, I'm done here. So once again, I was your host, Tony Polanco, and today I was joined by Dana Abercombie. Say something for the people listening, Dana.
Have a great day, everyone,
Yeah.
and we will see you soon. Thank you for
Yeah.
listening.
There you go. Yeah, always got to remember the audio listeners, and people who may just have this podcast running in the background. They can't hear that. Mr. Richard Bailey Jr.
Have a good weekend, everybody.
And of course, Carlos Romero.
Peace out.
All right, guys, you already know we'll be back next week. Invincible, baby. Let's go. Later.
Jesus.